That doesn't need to be in there. Oh, you're so goofy. You're so goofy. She put her kicker in the litter box. Okay. Alright, let's take care of the baby first. And then I'm going to give a Carson update. Okay. So I'm going to feed him and weigh him, and then I'll give a little update of what's going on with Carson. Are we on day 12 now? Is he 12 days old? "13 days old. 13 days and no peepers. This is crazy. He's going to hear before he can see." We've definitely had kittens who can hear at 2 weeks old. Alright, so we've been a little bit off today with bottle feeding. Nugget is 5.8 ounces. Okay, so I'm going to give an update now. I took Carson, or Gma took Carson to Del Val this afternoon. Originally because his left eye was suddenly inflamed and kind of bulging, and it did not look good at all. It looked very ugly. So when she got to Delval with him, she noticed that his breathing was labored. So the doctor took a listen, and if you remember at his first checkup 2 weeks ago, the vet heard a mild heart murmur on Carson. And that happens a lot. It's usually nothing to worry about. A lot of kittens have mild heart murmurs when they're little and they grow out of it, and nothing ever becomes of it. So that's what I assumed was going to happen. It was we'll check it out at his next checkup. We'll just make sure that, it's gone, and that'll be the end of it. But unfortunately, with Carson, that didn't happen. His heart murmur grew significantly worse, and the vet could actually feel the whoosh that a heart murmur makes, could actually feel the whoosh happening through his chest, which puts you at least at a grade 4. There's typically 5 grades, and grade 4 is like almost the worst. So when you can feel it through their chest, that puts you at least a grade 4, which is significant. That's no longer a mild heart murmur. So the vet took x-rays of his chest and discovered that he also has an enlarged heart, which is not good news. That's, a serious condition, especially coupled with the significant heart murmur. It was just it's not good news. So, the x-ray, though, also showed that there was no fluid in his lungs, no pneumonia, so that was good news. If we're looking for any good news, that was it. But he had a pretty severe upper respiratory infection, and so that, all of this coupled with the heart conditions coupled with the upper respiratory infection meant that he needed to be hospitalized. So we decided to take him to UPenn or Penn Vet because first of all, we've been there several times for cardiology. Bugs and Flapjack both went there for their cardiology appointments, and they have a very good cardiology department there. And so our hope was that by bringing him to through the emergency room that he'd be seen by cardio. So we took him to Penn, and the doctor examined him and, saw the same symptoms and everything that Delval had seen. He believes that the labored breathing is due to his upper respiratory infection and not his heart condition. So that's good news, because, you know, the respiratory symptoms, you know, are treatable, and you know, we should be able to deal with that easier than if it was, you know, heart failure. So you know, it's not a definite, but that's just what his opinion is. So there were two main things that we were dealing with that were separate issues. There was this severe upper respiratory infection that Carson has, and also this significant heart defect. So they've prioritized the respiratory infection, which means they're going to do supportive care. They've admitted him, and they're going to do some supportive care for him overnight for his URI. And in the morning, he'll be transferred to internal med, who's going to take over for his respiratory distress and trying to battle the infection. They do rounds in the morning, like usually sometime between 9 to 11. So I expect to hear from them maybe a little bit before noon tomorrow, internal med. What we're hoping is that they'll also consult with cardiology, and that Carson can be seen sooner, you know, rather than later, maybe tomorrow, by cardiology, where they can do some more diagnostics on his heart. So a heart murmur can occur for any number of reasons. Bugs and Flapjack both had grade 4, grade 5 heart murmurs, but for different reasons. So one had a problem with their valve in their heart, and one had an actual hole in their heart. And when you do things like an echo or an ultrasound or both, you get the imaging that you need to diagnose and target exactly what the problem is, what's happening to cause that heart murmur. So that's what we need to figure out first, is what is causing the heart murmur. A heart murmur in itself is just a sound. It's kind of like saying, you know, you have an irregular heartbeat. It's just a symptom of something else. So the heart murmur itself doesn't really tell you anything. It doesn't tell you what is wrong with the heart. That's what the imaging is for. So that's what we need to get done and figure out what it is that's causing it. In some cases, if you have a heart defect, it is treatable through surgery. You can surgically correct some heart defects. So that's, you know, one possibility. A second possibility is that it's manageable through medication. So Flapjack, for example, was put on a medication that slowed down his heart rate, which put less pressure on his heart. And then, you know, the third possibility is, you know, we don't do surgery, we don't do medication, and we just wait and see, and, you know, just let it be as it is. So, you know, we can't make those decisions about treatment until we figure out what exactly he has going on. I will say that, you know, with with Flapjack and Bugs, they were not expected to live to be even a year old. They were both adopted. Their adopters understood that it was, a potentially very short time that they would have with these kittens. And Flapjack, I haven't heard any updates probably in the last 6 months or so, but last I heard from Flapjack, he was just on medication now, but he was still doing well, and that was 4 years ago maybe. And Bugs was the same time frame. She was also about 4 years ago, and I've seen pictures of her, so she's still going strong, which is really exceptional for both of them. So I'll just, put that out there that even if there's, this possibility that, maybe he won't live to be 20 years old with his heart conditions, but he still can have possibly a very enriching, loved life, and can still be adopted. There's still a possibility of adoption. So we don't want to give up on him. As talking to the vets, both at Del Val and at Penn, they always have to put the option there, of not progressing further. But, we've seen and we've had kittens who have survived, having a huge hole in their heart. I mean, it's like you couldn't get any worse than that, and continue to thrive. So, yeah, Nina, that's not what we're focused on right now. It's fine. He'll get unstuck. So I can't say if cardio is going to see him tomorrow or not, but hopefully that they'll be able to consult with them at some point, maybe in the next day or two. Hopefully we won't have to go back and have appointments later, but no guarantees. So for now, it's supportive care and wait and see. So I'll get my next update late tomorrow morning, and let you guys know what's going on then. It's definitely scary. He went from yesterday running around like a maniac, climbing the snugglers, just being totally normal, to today where he wasn't eating and was pretty lethargic. So, definitely, and to kind of learn what's going on with his heart, it's unsettling. But I'm trying to stay positive about it and, not spend too much time worrying before we have answers. There's still so much that's unknown about his condition. So, there's no way for us to predict what his particular and specific case is going to be. Doctors can't even tell us yet before doing imaging. So there's no sense in, trying to figure it out or, playing out all the scenarios. It's just kind of a waste of energy and emotions right now, just to get yourselves, worked up or upset. So I would just encourage you to stay positive if you can, and send out your positive vibes, and just try to not think of worst case scenarios, and just let the doctors do their jobs. So, so the other thing is that, Val, he tested positive for FIV. Now, I feel like it's just like a noodle that was thrown into a lawnmower. Like, it doesn't belong there. It's not nothing, but it's like so kittens when they nurse from their mom, which we know that the Downtons were with their mom for at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe longer even. If the mom is FIV positive, then she produces antibodies, FIV antibodies. And those antibodies are passed through her milk. So, I'm going to talk about this for a little bit because there's so many myths about FIV, and it's really important to not perpetuate the myths that come with FIV. So I need everybody to pay attention to this, because it's important to learn about Carson and FIV, but it's also important when you hear or see other people talking or chatting about FIV. It's super important and very meaningful for you to correct people if they're wrong, and to let people know the facts about FIV. So when the kittens nurse from their mom, if she's FIV positive, they ingest the antibodies, and then they themselves have FIV antibodies in their system. So when they get tested, when they get snap tested, which is what we do, the very quick test that only takes like 20 minutes, when they get snap tested, the snap test only tests for these antibodies, and it comes back positive. In most cases, kittens who have nursed from their moms, gotten these antibodies, in most cases, around 6 months of age, the kittens will lose those antibodies. They'll have washed out of their systems, and they no longer carry those antibodies anymore. And when you retest them at about 6 months, almost all kittens will come back negative for FIV. And that's just because, when they originally tested positive, they were testing positive for the antibodies, not FIV itself. It's not testing for the actual illness. It's testing for the antibodies. So that's a really big, important distinction. And it's why a lot of rescues and shelters don't even test for FIV, because people kind of get this, because people are so misinformed about it, and they don't realize that in most cases, when they retest those kittens at 6 months, they will no longer be positive. So this is really, really important. So in all likelihood, even though he's testing positive for the antibodies right now, if we retest him when he's 6 months old, he will probably retest negative. Not 100% of the time, but in most cases. It's very rare for a kitten to actually become infected with the FIV itself through their mom. Very rare. So I'm just saying that because even vets will kind of get this, can sometimes get this immediate thing that's like, you know, they think it's really important if they test for FIV, if they test positive and everything. And it's just not true. So that's the point I need to make. Additionally, FIV is not even close to a death sentence. So FIV, what it does is it lowers their immune system, which means that they can be more susceptible to other illnesses like upper respiratory infections, or that's the main one. So that's all it really means. It in itself, it doesn't have symptoms. It does not kill any cats or kittens. It doesn't progress in any way. It just makes them more susceptible to to catching other illnesses, just because they don't have as robust of an immune system. So even if he does actually have FIV or any of the other Downtons, it's still okay. They are perfectly fine living with cats that don't have FIV. That is a perfectly safe environment for them to be in. Cats, the way that they catch and infect each other is through deep bites, wounds. So they'd have to be in a really serious physical altercation, which generally happens to feral cats who live outdoors, males who are fighting for territory, that kind of thing. That's typically how it's passed. Or through mating with each other, which obviously our kittens will never be mating when they are adopted into other homes. Nobody's doing the dirty. So again, it's mostly passed with outdoor cats who are not fixed. They're fighting with each other and they're getting busy. And that's how they're spreading FIV. If you know Cole and Marmalade, I believe Cole is the one who was FIV positive and Marmalade is negative. But whichever is which, one of them is positive and one of them is negative. And they lived together, very peacefully forever. They were huge voices, to try to spread awareness of the fact that FIV cats can live with non-FIV cats. It's perfectly fine and safe. The danger typically just comes from outdoor street cats who are fighting and mating. So we don't have to find them special homes. We don't have to worry about them infecting other cats. It's totally, totally fine. None of the cats that we're raising are aggressive. They're not going to be, deep wound biting and puncturing other cats. It's not going to happen. So that's my soapbox for the night. It's when we had Nimbus, who also tested positive for FIV, I kind of went through the same spiel with everybody, but it's just so important. And I hope that, you know, if you knew this already, awesome. If this is new to you, please, if you hear people misspeaking about FIV, please try to inform people of, you know, the truth and the facts, because FIV cats can be very difficult to find homes for because of these myths that continue to perpetuate. And we just need to break them down. And, you know, there's no reason not to adopt an FIV positive cat. Okay, so Savannah's listening to me. So I think that's all the information that I have on Carson. Please try not to worry tonight. And his bill, it's a little bit unknown, because I'm not sure whether cardiology is going to be involved or not, and, you know, to what degree they're going to do run diagnostics tomorrow, or, you know, during his hospital stay. Earlier, when it was thought, when the ER doctor thought that cardiology would be running diagnostics, imaging, that sort of thing tomorrow, the estimate was between $4,000 and $5,000 for his overnight stay and diagnostics tomorrow. So, you know, that's the number that I'm going on right now. You know, until I hear otherwise. But, you know, it sounds like it's going to be a costly visit, especially with some of the imaging. I know that when we had an echo done I don't remember whether it was the echo or the ultrasound. I just remember the imaging that we had done for Bugs and Flapjack was each $1,500 just for the imaging. So, yeah. Cardiology is definitely, the imaging that they do is definitely expensive. That I've experienced, at least. That is before our rescue discount. We do get a discount at Penn, but yeah, I just don't know anymore. That's really the most that I know. Yeah, any imaging costs so much. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging in there for this update, and bit of shock to us all, I think. Nobody was prepared for this happening tonight, but I appreciate you tuning in and going through this with me. Now I hope that everybody gets some sleep tonight. No, don't be up here worrying. All right, let's see how I do getting up after sitting on the floor all that time. Okay. All right, guys. I'll see you later.